of alignment as a couple, we want to give you some encouragement, because sometimes you can think if you're out of alignment that it means like you don't want the same things and there's all this struggle. And the reality is a lot of times we're more aligned than we think. The problem is cadence. The problem is that we just don't want the same things at the same time. So we travel a lot, and we've realized we have different rhythms.
Let's talk about 5:30 this morning when Seth is like, hey, you want to go take a walk on the beach?
It's a sunrise, everybody.
And every day he's like, I sure would love it if you would go walk on the beach with me. But I'm like, 5:30 in the morning is really early. And I didn't even actually get to bed until like 30 or 2. And you were probably in bed at like 9 or 10.
And this changes over the years, right? Sometimes we're totally on the same sleep schedule. I'm really monitoring my sleep right now, and my Oura Ring is telling me exactly the optimal time to go to sleep, and I'm listening to it for a change.
Mine tells me, but I don't listen to it.
You should. So when you think about cadence, where have you noticed it? So we're talking about sleep and whether to go walk the beach for the sunrise or not, but where have we noticed cadence? And let's even think about it. Where do we notice it over the course of the day, and then maybe the month and the year? Because it's getting into alignment of what do we want at the same time, right? So let's take the day for a second. Alice obviously admitted that I am more the morning person. This season of life, she is more of a night owl. Some of your best thinking right comes at night. I saw you last night working on your computer. So what we found is that in that sort of rhythm, it's connecting midday that is sort of time that works for us right now. Yep. Right? And that could be going for a walk early afternoon. Could mean a lot of things. We're mid-afternoon right now, finding that this is a time that we're focused and productive and in sync with each other.
Being in tune to where individually and together our energy is the highest, so that it's not about needing to be together all the time, but that when we are together that we're at our best.
And then we're just not fighting that other energy, right? It's like knowing when the other person needs enough space to go do their own thing. But if you find that as a couple you're like, well, yeah, it's perfect, let's just spend all of our time doing our own thing. No, a couple probably requires finding the energy during the day that you're at your best in sync together. And if you don't have any energy during the day where you're not in sync together, that might be a growth edge, right? That's something that when we go too long without having any in sync time, that's a problem. I feel like I'm talking about a boy band right now. It's driving me nuts. All right, go ahead. I didn't throw you off there.
If you're feeling like you're not getting that, if you're not having that energy together, and you're not. Every time I want to say in sync, I feel like I can't.
I know I ruined it for you.
Just start with, hey, can we carve out 5-10 minutes to have the conversation around what is or isn't working?
I think that whole idea of finding the rituals inside of your relationship that help you get back on the same rhythm, right? Sometimes for us that is, sometimes that's physical contact. That's as simple as a hug, or like, hey, can we just get 5 minutes together where we're shut the door, no kids, just getting a chance to actually connect for a bit. So time of day in daily rhythm. We also found that shift to weekly or monthly rhythm. Like if you're finding that over the course of a day you're finding little bits to connect, the next year it might be like, what does it look like to connect on a weekly level, right? And everybody we know talks about, are you doing date nights? Are you finding those windows? Date nights, by the way, don't have to be evenings, right? But the point is finding windows throughout the week. For us, we've found that it's almost like a midweek. I find that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pushing really hard. By about Wednesday night, we both have energy that hits the same spot at the same time of like, all right, we can take a breather, let's connect.
A lot of times it depends on too, what season is your family and what are the ages of your kids? Like our kids were little and we had some in daycare, some in school. We just knew that we had this window in the middle of the day where lunch was where we connected more than like a weekly date night. It was like, what's the date lunch that's going to be about us, not necessarily about business, but this is our designated time that is equivalent to date night.
And then I guess if you spread it out even further, what does it look like monthly? What does a cadence of things look like? I think probably an area that we didn't pay as much attention to that I wish we had earlier on. It was almost having a checklist of areas in our relationship that we would choose to sit down. It might be one Saturday afternoon a month or something, just really do a check-in. And because we would be forgetful, or we would only focus on the good stuff or only focus on the bad stuff, we should just write down a list. And maybe you've gone through something like a wheel of life exercise. But basically any list of like, hey, here's the 8 areas of our relationship or our family or our businesses or all the stuff that matters to us, and actually doing a check-in.
Yeah.
And parts of that check-in are super boring. It could be like, all right, how were the financials in the past 30 days, right? Or how were health goals? Like it's a lot of checking through lists, right? And we found that if we don't regroup once a month and actually have that check-in, we start to get off course and we start to get out of cadence with each other.
So start looking at, hey, what are things that you can do on a daily basis? What are things that you can do on a weekly basis? And what are things you can do on a monthly basis? And they'll shift with the seasons and as your family evolves, but what could work for you today?
Take care.